Hello everybody and welcome to a new Rook Endgame lesson, and today we're continuing where we left off last time. We're actually going to take a look at this position, which is very similar to what we saw in the last video, and now this position is winning, but it's extremely tricky and I want to show you how it is done. You notice the only difference to the last video is that now the white rook occupies the A file and the black rook is on B8, and the black rook is actually too close to the white king, and this is why white is winning. Black always wants to, or the defender always wants to have 3 files between the rook and the king, and here it's only 2 files, right? So this is winning, but it's tricky because this is actually a mutual Zugzwang, and we want to achieve the same position with black to move, and we'll see why. So this is what we need to achieve first. Very tricky, right? All right, so not easy to win still, and if you know some defensive strategies, you might still save it from this position. So how does this work? Well, let's see first what doesn't work. King d7 doesn't work because black can move the king closer and then play king f7, and this is a draw as white cannot make any progress. You might think that rook a1 is the way to go, and this is actually the right idea, but it's the wrong timing, and actually it is an important variation to see, because then we'll know why we need the king of black to be on g6 in a starting position, not g7. So let's see what happens here. Black gives a check, and now king f6 doesn't work because white has this nice little tactic available. e7, rook takes e7, check, and white wins the rook. So black gives another check in this position, doesn't go king f6, check, and now rook b2. And here this is a draw because of the rook e1, black is in time to get behind the pawn of his king. Now imagine if the king was on g6, the black king wouldn't be able to get behind, it's a win. So that's the difference. That's why the king has to be on g6. But here king f8 is a draw, and also in this position other moves will not help either. e7, just king f7, rook e1, king e8, that's clear. And if rook f1 trying to cut off the king, then black has this important move, rook a2, so that he can give checks from the side and white cannot hide with the king, and eventually black can put the rook behind the pawn, and it's a draw. So now that we know what we want the king on g6 in this position with white to move. Let's try to make this happen. King d6 check is the way. Now king f6, and now king d7. And here the best move for black is to go king g7 back. If he goes, okay, rook b1 is clear, white can just push the pawn and achieve the Lucchini position. If king g6, now we can actually go rook a1 and we achieve what we just saw, check, rook b2, and now rook e1. That's the difference. Black cannot get the king behind in front of the pawn, and e7, e8 is coming. So this wins. So king g7, and now we have made it. King e7, same position, but black to move, and he is in the Zugzwang, and he has to make a move and worsen his position. Alright, king g6. The other attempt would be to go rook b1 here, but now white can go rook a8, rook b7 check, king d6, rook b6 check, king f6 doesn't help here, white can just go rook f8 followed by e7, and after rook b6, king d7, now we see the distance is too short. After rook b7, white attacks the rook, and rook e7, king d6, and now e7 pushing, and e8 queen will happen and white wins. Okay, so this is also pretty straightforward. Kind of straightforward, I guess. I think king g6 is a better defensive try. And now white goes rook a1. So same position, right? Just with the king on g6, and now it wins because of this line with the rook behind the pawn. Rook b7 check, king d8, rook b8 check, again king f6, e7. Excuse me. Actually, this is the best that black can do, in fact, because here instead of taking on e7 he can do rook b8 check, king c7, it's hay fever season, my apologies. Now rook e8, king d6 is very nice. Once again rook takes e7 is answered by rook f1, rook b8, rook f1 check, king g7, king c7, rook a8, and now the important last move to know here is rook a1, deflecting the rook from the 8th rank. If the rook goes to e8 or g8 or h8, just king d7. Why is this the best black can do? Because here at least he achieves the endgame rook against queen, where he can still have some slim hopes of holding it somehow. Alright, so this was king f6 here, and if rook b8 check, king c7, rook b2, we have seen this already, you guys. What does white do now? Exactly, rook to e1. That's the key move to support the pawn, and the king cannot get in front. And after check, we reach the Lucchina position, and from there on, it's a pretty straightforward win. If you haven't seen this video yet on how to do it, then you can also check it out. It's also in this Endgame series, and then white wins. So this is really a tricky one. This is, I think, the toughest of the endgame videos I've posted so far in regards to Rook Endgames. So take your time, play it through on the board, and see if you can figure it out. Took us a few times. I did it with some other grandmasters, so it's not that easy. But it's good to know that there is a win, and also to kind of see the technique and to be familiar with it, so that if you ever have it on the board or something similar, it's of course similar. There are similar motives also with the pawn on other squares, not only on e6 but also on f6, d6, c6 of course. Then you know kind of what to do. The important thing to remember here is that the king needs to be on g6 in this position of white to move to be able to win this. So we need to first play this triangle maneuver to get black to move, and then we can go on with this rook a1 maneuver. Alright, tough stuff. I hope it was all clear, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.